The first bloodshed, the story of Habile and Qabil according to Islam. A story that captures how the first murder in human history was committed, how a human being mercilessly took the life of his own brother. The Islamic version of the story of Habile, Abel, and Qabil, Cain. Why did Qabil kill his brother? Why did he become the first murderer in human history? And how did he eventually meet his downfall? Let's not prolong the introduction. Come, let us listen to this story and everything that unfolded together. Since the beginning of humanity, among the 40 children of Hazrat Adam and Hazrat Hawa, Eve, Qabil and Habile were among the second born. The elder brother, Qabil, was short-tempered and aggressive, while Habile was gentle, calm, and soft-natured. In the early stages of human history, Allah permitted marriages between children of different births in order to preserve the human lineage and prevent the formation of deep sibling bonds in marriage. But someone rejected this divine arrangement, Qabil, the eldest son of Hazrat Adam. He didn't like the woman assigned to him for marriage and looked down on her. In his eyes, the woman meant to marry Habile was far more beautiful. This planted a seed of jealousy in his heart, which grew into hatred over time. When Hazrat Adam noticed the rising conflict between his sons, he proposed a solution. He asked both of them to offer a sacrifice to Allah. At the time, the way to know if an offering had been accepted was for a fire to descend from the sky and consume it. After this, the brothers went to prepare their offerings. Qabil, being a farmer, collected old and rotting produce from his field, crops he himself would not eat. Habile, a shepherd, chose one of his best sheep, slaughtered it sincerely, and set off to offer it to Allah. He had one goal: to earn the pleasure of the one who created him, to become a beloved servant of Allah. But what he didn't know was that this sheep he offered with such sincerity would be preserved in paradise, and one day it would be sent down to Prophet Abraham, for sacrifice at its destined time. The brothers met on top of a mountain. They placed their offerings on the ground, stepped back, and waited. After some time, a fire from the heavens descended and consumed Habile's sacrifice, but Qabil's was left untouched. Habile was overjoyed. His sacrifice had been accepted, but Qabil was humiliated. His anger grew more intense. He couldn't sit still. He had to do something, and he would. One day, while Hazrat Adam was away from home, Qabil saw his opportunity, but he didn't know how to do it, or rather, how to do it. Because until that day, no one on earth had ever committed murder. In that moment, Qabil lost control over his ego, nafs, picked up a large, sharp, and shining stone, approached his sleeping brother, and struck him hard on the head. Habile stopped moving. He was dead. Qabil was terrified. He looked at his brother's lifeless body and thought, "What have I done? What do I do now?" To prevent the body from decaying, he wrapped it in a cloth and carried it on his back. He had never seen a dead body before. He didn't know what was to be done with it. Then Allah sent a crow from the heavens. The crow dug into the earth and buried another dead crow, showing Qabil what to do. Seeing this, Qabil cried out, "Am I so helpless that I couldn't even be like this crow?" In shame and frustration, he buried his brother just as the crow had shown him. Shortly after returning home, Qabil's crime was discovered. His father, Hazrat Adam, told him that what he had done might never be forgiven and turned away from him. Some say Qabil, whether from fear, regret, or despair, fled to Yemen. There he continued his lineage with his twin sister. He had children.
But according to one narration, none of his sons ever loved him. Years later, his blind son, along with his own son, Habile's grandson, visited their father and grandfather. And during that visit, Habile's blind son killed him by striking his head with a stone, just as he had done to his brother. Habile never found peace again. He went down in history not as a hero, but as the first killer, and worst still, as a brother slayer.
The first brothers in human history, but also the first conflict, the first jealousy, the first bloody shame. Cain could not tolerate his brother's purity, innocence, and acceptance. However, Abel had only surrendered to the Creator. Jealousy blinded Cain's eyes so much that he killed his brother and chose to throw his own conscience into the blind wells with him. But it was not just a body that was lost in the blind wells and buried in the deepest depths. That day, humanity looked into a mirror for the first time and saw itself as a murderer. So, what has changed since that first look? The grandchildren of Cain, who killed his brother with a stone yesterday, are lynching each other on social media today. Sometimes with a look, sometimes with a message, sometimes with a few pieces of paper, sometimes just with feelings. We still cannot tolerate each other. On this path we walk, we prefer unity with the devil to goodness and beauty. In the midst of all these developments, we forget the one within us and remember the one within us. And do you know what's the saddest thing? Murders are no longer just made with guns, stones, or knives. To destroy a person, it's enough to ignore, exclude, or denigrate them. But maybe it's time to stop and rethink. There's an Abel inside every person, innocent, pure, and devoted to God. And there's also a Cain, jealous, sharpened, and blind. Every morning when we look in the mirror, we decide, who will we let speak inside us today? Abel, the forgiving, patient, and virtuous? Or Cain, the one who feeds anger and drowns in his own darkness? Abel and Cain are not a fairy tale. This is your life, your decisions, and the war inside your heart.